That's crazy.
What the heck's going on?
Buddy goes, "That's crazy," and then disappears.
And it disappears. Wow, what a
That's
garbage
crazy.
intro. All right, so let's try this shit again. I'm trying to play Cruz's
That's
final
crazy.
words. I have to tell the audience that it is with a heavy heart that I report that Compañero Cruz, our comrade, is deceased. He's no longer living. He's not around anymore. But I have his final words that I will play for everybody here. We can all say a prayer for our friend, our comrade, our compañero.
A man of few words.
Oh my god, is that playing on your end? You know what? You know what? We're not just start this shit.
Hey guys, I need you to listen real quick. I don't have much time. I don't know what's about to happen. Shit, someone is following me. I'm on my way to my house to get on the podcast, and there's this black van, and I don't.
Well, that was probably the worst and best intro we've ever done because nothing worked correctly.
Well, I
So-
mean, people haven't. I mean, watching episode 1 of our podcast is a bit rough, you know. Yeah.
You know, it is. So but I feel like this was a lot worse because now we should have like the means to do stuff, but it just wasn't working. Because from my end, everything was playing, everything was good, but you guys didn't hear anything. Anyway, Cruz is dead, so we're just gonna leave it at that.
Anyway,
he's out of-
Cruz is dead.
Yeah, he's out of the gang. He's a
Rip.
liberal. Yeah, damn, not the death announcement. Yep, exactly. He's as productive now as Haas Infrared believes baristas are, which is not productive at all. But that is our topic tonight, boys, girls, theys and thems, and comrades. We're going to be talking about the difference between productive and unproductive labor, the relations of which, how they were written about and discussed back, 100 years ago versus today, and what serious and principled Marxists should focus on when it comes to building revolution in the year of Christ 2024. But before that, we can go over some current events if you guys don't have nothing to say.
I got nothing to say. I'm heartbroken from Cruz. So give me a
I think we should no longer discuss him, to be honest. I think he's actually canceled. Like, let's be real.
He deserved it anyways. He was a liberal.
Good
he got the wall.
riddance.
He got the wall. Sack of shit. Vashite, I like that. Actually, you know what? We shouldn't kid ourselves. He went over to Midwestern Marks. We knew this was gonna happen when the beef started. We knew that he is the correct shade for them. Yeah, so we'll see him up there with that whole gang. I'm sure him and Cobra Commander will get along very well. Let's do some news. It's not terrible. It was justified.
What's the news?
The news is Biden playing. You can see it, right?
Yes, we can see
senor.
it.
Okay.
You know I can't read.
Biden playing with fire by redesignating Yemen Houthis as terrorists. You know what? I need another monitor. So if anyone wants to hit up the Kollectiv Cash app, that would be extremely helpful. At the time, Secretary of State Antony Blinken said the move came in recognition of the dire humanitarian situation in Yemen. The United Nations, as well as humanitarian groups and U.S. lawmakers, had warned that terrorist designations could interrupt the flow of aid to the country. Now, almost exactly 3 years later, the Biden admin is reimposing one of the designations against the Houthis, declaring them to be specifically designated global terrorist group amid a series of attacks in the Red Sea. And once again, rights advocates and political analysts are sounding the alarm over the negative effects the decision may have on Yemeni civilians. Many also question whether Wednesday designations will succeed in pushing the Houthis to end their attacks. I just want to also clarify it's Ansar Allah, not Houthi rebels. I always, not again, like whatever. I'm not just like when it comes to any other ideological regime outside of our own. It's not that we, support them because we believe in exactly what they're doing, but we do believe in their struggle against the West. So when you see these pejoratives like Houthis and just Houthi rebels and just show a bunch of dudes, in sandals and clothes and regular guns or whatever, it's really undermining just how many and how sophisticated the Ansar Allah movement actually is. I'm very concerned about the devastating consequences for ordinary people in Yemen, said Afar Nasser, a non-resident fellow at the Arab Center for Washington, D.C., who previously worked as Yemen researcher at Human Rights Watch. Wonder what this guy's been up to. I feel like there's a little bit more to that story. But anyway, that's just a quick summary of that article. And then, so over since our last podcast, the United States has launched, as CNN is going to dub it, fresh strikes. U.S. carries out another round of strikes against Houthis in Yemen.
So fresh.
Yeah, it did say fresh before. I guess they changed the headline or whatever. But anyway, the U.S. carried out another round of strikes against the Houthis in Yemen, according to 3 U.S. officials, marking the 4th time the U.S. has struck the Iran-backed rebel group. They also do this thing consistently where they refer to them as only Iran-backed. And yes, Ansar Allah does get, some support from Iran, but it will be a whole other episode to go into, how the movement started and the civil war and all that stuff. But it's not that Iran is necessarily just pulling the strings for all these millions of other people outside of their country. U.S. used Tomahawk missiles to target approximately 14 Houthi missile launchers used to attack international shipping lanes. One of the officials said Tomahawk missiles were launched from U.S. Navy surface vessel on the USS Florida is a guided missile submarine, another official said. U.S. strikes are the latest in a series of actions against the Houthis following significant U.S.-led strikes last week with the U.K. So let's see here. I'm trying to scan real quick. If they mention at all, like, why the Houthis are attacking in the sea, because before they used to mention that it was in retaliation to everything that was going on in Palestine, but now when you see, this is just classic propaganda where they're just mentioning, well, they're just attacking shipping lanes, but they leave out the why because they want people to forget about the why. They want people to not think critically about who the new U.S. enemies are. It's classic imperialism, classic tactics. We'll continue to see this kind of stuff, but that's just sort of a quick update regarding the ever-escalating conflict in West Asia. Free Palestine. Yes, Stacy, and wow, what the fuck? Oh shit, he's here. I didn't know he was here. Get out of here, fucking Midwestern Marks. Anyway. Unproductive labor. So I see your new name. What is unproductive labor, Larry? What is an unproductive laborer? Are you just a goober who's living off welfare and all that? What does that mean in the broader context? Does it mean you have no revolutionary potential?
Yes.
All right, so that's the podcast.
That's it. We're done here.
Good night, everybody.
Good night. No, what an unproductive labor is someone who is performing labor, but without the surplus value being extracted by a capitalist. For example, I used in the example I shared with you guys earlier. So you look at a cook who works in the private employ of a capitalist at their home. They cook them meals. That is a unproductive laborer. They're not creating anything of value for the capitalist to then sell, right? They're not creating a commodity. A productive laborer would be a cook, same position, that is employed also by a capitalist, say Applebee's, and they produce commodities that the capitalists, the people who own Applebee's, will sell to the people, to the consumer. That's the only difference. It's whether the labor being performed is producing value for the capitalist, not producing value for society. I think this is, there's no moral value attached to these terms. It's simply just the scientific study of whether, labor performed goes on to be part of a commodity that's sold. That's it. It's that simple. It has nothing to do with aesthetics. A service can be productive labor. A service can be unproductive labor. It depends on its relation to capital, not its relation to some sort of liberal terminology like blue or white collar. That's it.
Now,
that's the TikTok.
Now I hear what you're saying, but baristas are not actual workers because they're unproductive, correct?
Well, that would depend on where the barista is working. If she's working at Starbucks, which is a entity that produces commodities to be sold to the customers, yes, she's a productive worker. If she's working for herself as a barista, she's not a productive laborer. But that's it.
Right.
It's as simple as that.
I'd like
Go
to
ahead.
Productive and unproductive has nothing to do with anything but its relation to capital. That's it.
Yeah, and one prime example of an unproductive labor is the police in the United States. They only exist to protect capital.
Right.
So they are one of the prime examples of being an unproductive labor. A barista has more revolutionary potential than a pig,
Yes.
at least in the United States.
Teachers would be another one. Teachers in public employ, sewer workers in public employ are not productive labor because nobody is extracting value out of the services they provide. Doesn't mean they're not necessary. They're very necessary for society to function. We have to, I think because you have a bunch of non-Marxists parading around, pretending to know what they're talking about, they're assigning moral and aesthetic values to these terms. It's nothing to do with that, as we've said. Now, a teacher could become a productive laborer if they wind up in private employ, where the institution that employs them starts charging for the services they're providing. So again, it's the relation to the commodity process, the capital process, the valorization of capital that determines whether you're productive or unproductive. If that makes sense. I think I've rambled enough.
Right. Larry's getting tired of carrying the whole episode. So then I'll just ask sort of generally then. Well, I'll bring up this. So a lot of this is coming up because we've been noticing, especially on the online left, on online TikTok space, that there is a pretty consistent drumbeat of so-called leftists, so-called Marxists, repeating definitions without really, I believe, analyzing what they're actually saying, and then failing to, well, they're not using dialectics in order to then reapply that to our current present situation. So, for example, as we brought up in our last episode, when Kollectiv went to war, that there are people on the online spaces, and I'm sure in real life too, but on the online spaces, who claim that X group of people have more revolutionary potential than B group of people who don't have revolutionary potential. So basically what I'm saying is their claim is that people who only work in quote unquote productive labor, but not in productive labor in the sense of what Larry's saying, where a product is being used to be sold on the market, commodities being used to be sold on the market to make a profit for capitalists. They mean productive labor almost in a literal sense of like, I don't think this is exactly what they were saying, but I what I'm trying to ascertain basically is where their sort of definitions lie with like a steel mill, right? Like we're producing cars, or we're producing, crude oil or whatever, like very much like video game-esque kind of mode of production, without understanding that somebody like a barista who's also making a product, and that product is being sold. However, the main difference between these two groups of people is that the steel workers, the auto workers, people in oil industry, heavy industries are the only ones who really can and who really should be targeted for organizational purposes in order to bring about revolution. But much like back 100 years ago and up until today, that's silly as shit. And you need to organize with the masses in general, not just people who work in particular industries. If you're working with construction workers and organizing with them, those people are going to have a particular set of skills and can have a particular effect on the economy. However, those people may not have the skills or the organization abilities as, like, say, another group of people like nurses or teachers or baristas or sewer workers or utility workers. Like, when we're talking about proletariat revolution, we're talking about the masses. We're talking about the majority of people, not just people who you think, like Larry said, oh, you're blue collar or you're white collar. We can ignore the teachers, we can ignore the bureaucrats, we can ignore the nurses, we can ignore moms, but we can, if we just get the UAW to take up arms, then we'll be able to win the revolution.
If you literally don't use hammers and sickles, you're not even a productive working class communist. I've unironically actually heard this argument that if you're not, like, the real working class is in the quote unquote blue collar, is in the still, like, if you're still the factories and stuff like that, and I think it's a bit backwards to just to
It's
try to
liberalism.
alienate the rest.
It's
Yes.
liberalism. It's just
Yes.
liberalism. It's not scientific socialism. It's just vibes and fucking feelings.
Vibing and chilling.
Yeah, we don't do that here.
Right, and it's just so that's not based in reality. Like you said, like how many even attempted revolutions that unfortunately failed, or even ones that escalated. A lot of them began with students, with people in college, people in universities who were not active in productive labor. So really, just to say that well, we shouldn't be talking to those people, then you're really, I don't know, you're just not serious about revolution, really, if you talk that way.
Well, to again touch on the point, I think there is value in recognizing what's productive and what's unproductive, but not to assign a level of revolutionary potential for the person or job in general. Like, everybody actually, at the end of the day, the privatization schemes that we see coming is just the inevitable outcome of this, right? So, like we talked about the police, the military earlier, these things, education, healthcare, these things are seen as sunk costs to a capitalist, right? Not so much the military, because we pay for that with debt, but things like the police budget, schools, etc. We pay for that based on taxes, which, despite not paying their fair share, they do incur the cost of the capitalist class. So they're providing some value, capital, extracted from them, from their revenues, to maintain the state. Now, in their mind, why wouldn't they, instead of using publicly funded services, why wouldn't they inject capital in the situation and have privatized? We see this in places like where I live, where we have privatized DMVs. That's what that's the ultimate push. That's what neoliberalism is. It's to privatize absolutely everything, possibly up to the military. I don't know that they would go that far, because that actually has a destabilization potential against their state. But who knows? I mean, the system sort of dictates things, not people's opinions.
You don't want a Wagner coup 2.0?
No. But yeah, it is, like, for example, bureaucrats who aren't productive labor in any sense of the word. Is it effective to organize among them? No, we shouldn't. We shouldn't spend a bunch of time organizing government bureaucrats. That's a sunk cost for us that we shouldn't really spend too much time on. Not that those people can't be involved, but if you're going around trying to unionize stock traders and who may be productive labor even, that's really not the goal. We should be on the working masses who are set to benefit. Cui bono, who's going to benefit from socialism? That's who we need to identify.
Right. And I totally, 100% we all agree here. So kind of touching on like, personal experience here. As I've said, I think in every goddamn episode of this show that we do, that, I'm in the medical field. And when I'm told that I don't have revolutionary potential, I really find it quite silly, because while I understand that I'm part of the unproductive laborers, where I'm not selling a product that gets sold, or I'm not making a product that's sold on the market.
Well, it depends. Are you paid a wage by a private corporation or a public?
I've done both. Right now, I'm corporate. Actually, right now, I'm one of my jobs is a corporate. The other one is a non-for-profit.
So you're half productive, half not.
Oh my god, I'm an enigma. I should have told that goober that, but
you're 100% man, 100% God, just like Jesus.
Baller.
You're
Except for
unproductive
he was
and
a man. But
productive
anyway,
at the same time.
that's her round. Anyway, so when we I don't know, man. Like a lot of these people, they come here and pretty much everything they say is some kind of projection. But they come out here and they say that revolution is going to be scary and bloody and a war and all that stuff, which is true. But when you approach medical staff, whether they're a CNA or UA, MD, a nurse, whatever, and you tell them that essentially, well, you guys don't have revolutionary potential simply by virtue of, well, I guess it depends where you work, productive or unproductive labor. Who's going to be patching you guys up when you steal, when you secure the steel factory or the oil fields, when the bullets start flying, when you have soldiers who are chronically injured, who are going to have to be bedbound for weeks at a time? Like, so much goes into chronic care. Not even, I mean, there's the emergency care, actively when someone's bleeding out, and then there's the chronic care. Like if you were serious about waging a conflict that may take over a decade, you are going to need people to do that. This isn't Call of Duty where you can just crouch and regenerate, bro. Like a lot goes into you. For those who don't know, somebody just laying in bed, so much goes into keeping that person alive. Forget about the fancy machines. Forget about what you see on TV. Keeping somebody fed and clean and warm takes an immense amount of labor, and you need those people to be on your side if you're trying to wage a proletariat revolution. Particularly because I brought up in our discussions the other day that when that happens, you best believe that these corporations and state agencies are going to be offering medical staff a big bounties to work on their behalf, as opposed to the other way around. So if you cannot convince that core part of the proletariat to join in your cause, I feel like that alone would spell out demise.
Agree with all of that.
And I think another thing too, when it comes to like teachers, right? Teachers and nurses in the same regards, like we are considered public figures, especially when you work somewhere for a long time. People know who you are, people know things about you, people get used to seeing you, and people look up to you. Especially in a situation where you're vulnerable, whether you're a teenager who looks up to a teacher in their classroom, or whether you're somebody who needs to be there's two of us who needs to be taken care of and healed. You naturally are going to look up to this person who you're going to see as a caretaker, and if that person is a revolutionary, that in itself can inspire so many people to maybe this revolution stuff, maybe this communist stuff isn't so bad, because my teacher, that nurse who took care of me, or whoever, is going to be. I mean, I thought the communists were bad guys. These people aren't bad guys.
Yeah, we need more trusted public figures that are communists and less people like me.
but you're the one who can. Maybe I shouldn't say this because it will definitely be used against us one day. But I mean, we got to use the J. Stalin taking the money from the coach type tactics.
Expropriations are, if it happens, it happens.
Expropriations.
Listen, here,
Adventurous, anarchist activities. I, as the head of the NKVD, will not allow this.
listen.
Straight to gulag.
Anarchists don't even want
done.
us
It's
to
over.
get any funding from anybody. So either we're getting the funding from somebody or we're stealing it.
Why are we
GTA
listening
5
to
heist
anarchists
confirmed.
about who we're getting funded from?
What?
What are you, a liberal, Ivan?
Yes, actually, welcome to the Liberal Podcast.
Vashite
what-
Tsunami Liberal.
So, what's your name? Muerte. Yeah, I think that's it.
What's your name?
Wow.
That's fucked.
Disrespect.
Hey, thanks for having me on as a guest, guys.
Yeah.
I think this guy could replace Cruz.
You guys hiring?
We don't have any money. Anyways,
That's why we're talking about robbing banks.
Yeah. So you have worked, Muerte, in the so-called, the bastardization of productive labor, in construction and all that. And
Yes.
so, how do you feel? Do you think that if you and your merry band of misfits could single-handedly seize the means of production?
No. And I would call those who think the idealists. I mean, I think there'd be, we need all sorts part of the working class to be involved, right? We need more public figures. We need nurses. We need doctors. But I would say that, although we are productive laborers, we're better than you guys. I'm kidding. That I think we do have revolutionary potential, 100%. I mean, there's going to be folks, either rebuilding after, and the thing is, revolution is always different, right? Like I believe we were talking with Carmen Larry that with the Bolsheviks, the violence didn't come until after the reaction from the revolution. So, I mean, take that into consideration, and also yeah, and we're blue collar, I guess, quote unquote, and thank you, Larry, for pointing that out. That's actually using the terms blue collar and white collar are liberal terms, and I just realized that today, actually. But yes, we're definitely productive.
Okay, we grow up in a liberal society. We wind up with their terms, whether we like it or not.
Very unfortunate, very cringe. Yeah, I don't know. I just find, again, all these arguments that we've been encountering online to be extremely idealistic. Now, I know that Cruz is dead, but before he died, he did secure some kind of correspondence from Che Guevara. Was he able to get that to you, Larry? Larry.
He's like, I don't know. Let me check.
Yeah, he sent it in the bunker.
All right, here we go. Oh, there he goes. Another one. Another one's gone. Let's see if I can pull it up. Oh God, why did I ask him to do it?
Fucking boomer. Let me.
Wow, he's gone, bro. All right.
But he just disappeared for real.
All right, so here's our live challenge. This is what happens, right? See, deprogram got it right. Say they do everything pre-recorded. Okay, I'm gonna try to rescue Larry. You guys carry the show. BRB.
Oh, Jesus Christ. You guys carry the show. It's just gonna be the cutie show right now.
All right, that's
I
fine.
think.
You want to mog
I
on
think
them?
Marte's busy.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna
Hi,
try to. Oh,
guys.
he's back. He's back. He's back.
I was about to be like, how's everybody's days going?
The whole show fell apart, brother.
This is my phone.
That's a lot. I don't know what Cruz had in mind for that. That's a giant article, so I would have to dissect it beforehand. So I think we'll have to do that for another day. But I did want to add that it's one thing about these these spaces online and everything, but for those of us who are organizing and who are in a union, or you're working with your primary organization, this should be helpful to you if you encounter this nonsense come up. If you have people in your union or your primary organization that has some of these backwards liberal views on blue collar versus white collar, basically meaning unproductive versus productive in their mind, this is something for you to use to I did the long reading of Marx many times so that you can take this and use it amongst your comrades, whether that be online or in a primary organization or a union. Please use it. Because it's part of the analysis. 101.
Basically, to add on to that, if your organization is saying some stupid ass shit, you should call it out when appropriate. Because
if it's that stupid, it should be called out like immediately, whether it's appropriate or not.
I just want to point out real quick
Marxist
that Cutie's got like the 1,000-yard stare right now. And I don't know if he's just doing it on purpose or he's
hitting you with that Celtic stare.
Yeah, I guess like the feds are in there. There he goes.
I'm sorry, I was looking for something and I was just like staring. I couldn't find it, so I was like vaguely annoyed. So
it was kind of terrifying. I'm not gonna lie.
So I was just doing that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No. Exactly.
The
Like
Celtic stare. It's Celtic. You son of a bitch.
Yeah.
Say it right. No, it's okay.
I've told you guys the story before, but I had an organizer one. All right. Well, here. While we're talking about productive, unproductive labor, I had a organizer in a pretty well-known organization tell me that police are working class. Thoughts, boys?
Under a capitalist system, I would say no, because I mean the USSR had police, but they just weren't called police, and they actually served the working class. And this is usually a topic that amongst leftists gets tossed around, like people don't really like the sound of that, but I mean,
security apparatus needs to exist.
For sure.
Yes, for sure. And so I think the police in the United States, no. During the USSR?
I mean,
yes.
They are
yeah, I think it depends on what your definition of
trader
working
without
class
being
is.
working class.
All right. Well, y'all
right,
gonna
that's
have
a
to
good
start
point,
it over.
Sorry.
I mean, I think it depends on like how you're interpreting working class, just because like for this it's security apparatus, right?
Yeah.
For the state, in the same sense that like the military is security for the state. So like if we were to say that cops aren't working class, we would naturally have to say that soldiers aren't working class. But if we were to say that soldiers are working class, we'd have to sort of say the same about cops.
I mean, it's an objective thing. We need to stop worrying about the morality attached to it and just objectively look. They're working class. They're unproductive labor, and their particular job is serving as the security apparatus for the capitalist class, which makes them class traders. You couldn't be a trader if you weren't first working class, right?
Right.
But
Spitting.
I mean, I suppose you could interpret their role as security apparatus as like management to like theoretically, but
yeah. I mean,
thinking about it, I would definitely say that
is,
soldiers are effectively working class, just because of the sense that they do like literally make buildings and shit like that.
Yeah,
yeah.
I mean,
There's a
I
lot
find management to be working class as well. They're working for a wage. It's just that they're not. They're going to side with the capitalists. You know, it's about determining who's an ally. In these cases,
we support the red card.
I just decided to go on the Marxist archive real quick. And this is pretty much so. This is from economic works of our boy Karl Marx. Capitalist production as the production of surplus value, and this is specifically in relation to what you were saying in the beginning, Larry. From the simple standpoint of the labor process in general, such labor appeared to us to be productive as was realized in a product, or more precisely in a commodity. But from the standpoint of the capitalist production process, this element has to be added to the definition. Such labor is productive as directly valorizes capital or produces surplus value, hence, and realized without any equivalent for the worker, for the performer of labor, in a surplus value expressed in a surplus produce, hence an excess increment of commodities for the monopolizer of the means of labor for the capitalist. So, damn, that was a lot. For basically, I think you put it a lot.
That's what I'm here to do. I'm here to translate Marx.
Thank you, Professor Larry.
Dr. Professor Larry.
No doctor.
So, if police, oh, there goes my phone. Well, that's okay. If the police are used to protect and use violence to protect private property, does that affect their relation at all to being working class or not being working class?
No, they're still working class. They're the capitalists when they employ police forces, they're paying for those things out of their revenue. Now, the Pinkertons are productive labor for the Pinkerton Corporation, are they not? Yes. The product that is sold, the security apparatus from the Pinkertons to the capitalists who would purchase that product, that labor that the Pinkerton detectives are providing the Pinkerton Corporation is being valorized, as Marx says. So yes, Pinkerton detectives are productive labor. It's an easy distinction. That's why we shouldn't apply moral terms to these things, because nobody is going to sit out here and say that the Pinkertons should be organized with the working classes, right?
Right.
But
that goes into like
unionize
police
the
unions.
Pinkertons.
Oh, the CIA got me.
I was gonna say he's got the
heart
same
attack gun.
same virus. That,
We should really just turn the Pinkertons into a worker cooperative, and then everything would be fine.
That would be.
Listen. They have more productive. I mean, fuck. They have more revolutionary potential than moms. So I think it would be fine to put them in. Throw them in the ring.
Domestic labor is another kind of labor. Domestic labor is
Did you just boot him out?
I know I didn't.
What happened?
Judy was fucking with you.
No, I swear I did not kick you out, bro.
So domestic labor is absolutely objectively unproductive labor. That does not mean that it has no value in the revolution. Quite the counterpoint.
This is a goofball episode.
Quite the opposite. Domestic labor is invaluable to any community building and organizing. Fucking losing my shit. But yes, domestic labor is not being valorized. It's not being capitalized upon by a capitalist. So,
right, for sure, man. I had a whole other point, but when you came back into the chat, I thought it'd be funny as fuck if you got booted out again. So I was too busy giggling about that.
just boot me now.
No. Let's regroup here. Let's cook. Right.
I'm looking up some James Connolly because he talks specifically about it.
Yeah, honestly, I'm sleeping on James Connolly. I think I'm gonna be looking at some probably buy like a book or two. I guess real quick, since you're looking them up, you got any recommendations for anybody watching?
Reconquest of Ireland.
I actually have that one in my freaking reading list. All right, I'll add that to my
the portion about women and like domestic laborers is chapter. I don't know Roman numerals 6 or 4.
I'm also
Which
bad
comes
with
first?
Roman numerals.
Is it the
it's
V
VI.
VI.
So I think it's
That's
6.
Yeah.
Because Star Wars. Okay. That's the only reason why I know. Let me find it.
Well, while you're finding
you guys
it,
can
yeah. While you're finding it, I went back in to see what else Larry was cooking because this is 100% Larry's show right now. So, oh no, you brought up the Applebee's thing. Let's see here. What we got? I like the language you used. A fast food worker is employed to produce surplus value for the capitalist. The determining factor is the product sold. These workers are part of the production process of that chicky nugget meal, reaching the market and labor employed to get in. There provides surplus value despite being service work, which is in this case objectively productive. This also illustrates the privatization fetish that neoliberalism promotes. Postal workers do not produce surplus value for capitalists. They are by definition unproductive labor, yet necessary. FedEx workers performing the same necessary labor for society to function are doing so and providing surplus value to a capitalist rather than being paid out of taxes, public funds, etc. In a roundabout way, neoliberalism is a process of proletarianizing even greater swaths of the workers. No wonder Trot's the neocon pipeline is a thing, LOL.
That could easily be added to like a script for a YouTube video, to be honest. It sounds really like entertaining. I like that.
But is labor power not commodified? And does reproductive labor not produce a labor force? Of course, labor power is commodified, and reproductive labor produces the labor force. The capitalists need babies, which goes back to what we were saying earlier. So about medical workers is what is a nurse or a doctor or a nurse's aide besides a human mechanic, really? You know.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we're just all we're doing is
human mechanics. That's crazy, but it's facts though.
Yeah, Bresky. I mean, that's all essentially what we're doing is keeping and getting people ready to go back to work for the most part. Or how many people show up, to the ER because of workplace injuries,
right?
And without us, and if you were to not capitalize on those people who can be revolutionaries for the proletariat, they're gonna be patching up all the soldiers who come after you when your LARP gear fails on you. How's your James Connolly adventure going?
It's going. I have a particular quote that I have to find here. I found it, but I just need to do the Control F to find it. Okay. But it's not about mothers in particular. It's about the revolutionary potential of women, essentially.
Well, even Lenin knew the revolutionary potential of women. If you read Lenin on a woman question, He talks about that. He had a meeting with I forget her name already, man. I'm horrible with names, but they talked like multiple times about
You
revolutionary
talking about
potential.
Colin Ty?
Yeah, no, not Colin Ty.
No.
It's her last name starts with Z. Oh, let me look. I got it right here, actually. Oh no, I don't.
Okay. I sent you the link, Ivan, and then I'm going to send you the
Zuzulich?
section
Baller.
so you can show it on screen. So you can just copy that and then control
Comrade
F.
Zuzulich, maybe?
I believe so. Let me see.
She was pretty badass.
Mm-hmm.
Do tell while I look this up.
Cop killer.
Ooh. What was the scoreboard on that one?
Zuzulich 1, Cop 0.
Take your meds.
Take your meds.
All right, there we go.
Murphy's like, sorry guys, I gotta head out. It's time to do my run.
All right, can you see it?
Yes.
Yeah.
James Connolly, The Reconquest of Ireland, chapter whatever, Star Wars number 6, women. So, you want to just read the highlighted quote, or you want to read the whole paragraph?
Either or. What do we feel? I think that highlighted quote is pretty much like a shortened version of the article. Not the article,
Right.
the section, the chapter.
All right. I think I don't know. I think the whole little paragraph would be good, just so people can get the whole context. So, for those who don't know, Cutie, who was James Connolly?
I mean, James Connolly was an Irish socialist and communist. He was contemporary with Lenin. So he wasn't a Marxist-Leninist, but he came to very similar conclusions because of the nature of the similar material conditions between rural Ireland and rural Russia. So they were actually very similar in what they were saying about things. And he was actually executed after the failure of the 1916 Easter Rising, which was started by his group to get the freedom for Ireland on Easter 1916.
The daughters of the Irish peasantry have been the cheapest slaves in existence. Slaves to their own family, who were in turn slaves to all social parasites of a landlord and Gobeen-ridden community. The peasant, in whom centuries of servitude and hunger had bred a fierce craving for money, usually regarded his daughter as beings sent by God to lighten his burden through life. And too often the same point of view was fiercely insisted upon by the clergymen of all denominations. Never did the idea seem to enter the Irish peasant's mind or be taught by religious teachers that each generation should pay to its successor the debt it's owed to its forerunners, that thus, by spending itself for the benefit of its children, the human race ensures the progressive development of all. The Irish peasant, in too many cases, treated his daughter in much the same manner as he regarded as a plow or a spade, as tools with which to work the farm. The whole mental outlook, the entire moral atmosphere of the countryside enforced this point of view. In every chapel, church, or meeting house, the insistence was ever upon duties to those in superior stations, duties to the church, duties to the parents. Never were the ears of the young polluted by any reference to rights, and growing up in this atmosphere, the women of Ireland accept their position of social inferiority. That in spite of this, they have ever proven valuable assets in every progressive movement in Ireland is evidence of great value. Their cooperation will be when, to their self-sacrificing acceptance of duty, they began to unite. It's necessary counterpoise a high-minded assertion of rights.
Bro was spitting. He was cooking.
Always.
Pretty much the whole thing he's cooking. It's where the quote that the okay, he's gone again, I guess. I don't know.
Keep going.
It's where the quote of the female worker being the slave of a slave The worker is a slave of capitalists, and the female worker is a slave of that slave.
100%, and
which is
that
referring to the nature of domestic labor.
Yeah, 100%, and I would say while liberal society likes to promote that women have had some kind of to put it in a Gen Z term, glow up in the last 100 years. Really not a whole heck of a lot has changed in society. Like, yes, women are allowed to vote in bourgeois elections, but the way a white liberal woman is treated is insanely different than a black woman who doesn't even have to be a communist, just a black woman, period. How women are treated in today's bourgeois world. um even even today, like, while we try to operate in our leftist circles and online, like, it's easier for us to come up here as dudes and dick around, literally. um Whatever scrutiny that we get, right? So, like, okay, no, here, let me cook. So, like, we had a lot of technical goofs today, right? And it's like funny, and our audience thinks it's funny. But if this was a panel of all females or femme presenting people, that would be ridiculed because, oh, they're dumb and they don't know what they're doing. And it's like, bro, I don't know what I'm doing. Like, you know what I mean? Like, we're just trying to bring out a message here. But this innate, it's how capitalism works. You're taught to hate the next worker below you, so to say. The immigrant hates the new immigrant who comes. The man is supposed to hate the man next to him. The man is supposed to hate the woman underneath him, and the woman is supposed to hate her fellow woman. It's just how it goes. It's because if we keep fighting each other, getting in these dumbass arguments about, bro, is it productive labor or unproductive labor, then we're never going to get anywhere.
Correct.
I mean, usually the argument really is super based on just bro, every time I go into full screen, this guy gets kicked out of the fucking thing. I don't know what this is.
Yeah, I wonder what's going on.
Every time I go into full screen, he just gets kicked out. So I'll just stay I'll just stay out of full screen.
Okay.
I lost my thought because I got so confused every time it just like disappears whenever I do it.
You were saying that he's cooking the whole time, but what were you gonna say, Martin?
Yeah, I was saying you were cooking. Also, I was gonna say Lenin was cooking. I'm actually reading a small passage from his book Lenin on the Women question by Clara Zetkin. And there's this part where he says the thesis must clearly point out that the real freedom for women is possible only through communism. The inseparable connection between the social and human position of the woman and private property in the means production must be strongly brought out. That will draw a clear and irreducible line of distinction between our policy and feminism, and will also supply the basis for regarding the women question as part of the social question of the workers' problem, and so blind it firmly to the proletarian class struggle and the revolution. So he was cooking right there too. I wish I could send you a screenshot. I'm just reading it directly from the book. Everybody should read this. Don't get the one that has the rainbow in front of it, not because of the rainbow, but it's because PC USA actually printed this, and I didn't realize until after I got it. And those are the little
or just read it for free online. You don't have to buy any of these books. They're all free on Marxist.org.
But yes, banger.
Sponsored by Marxist.org. All right. So I think we twiddled our thumbs and we're pretty unproductive in our labor tonight, boys. What do you say?
Hope so.
Yeah, for sure. We definitely are tonight.
I hope so. If you guys start making money off of this, I'm going to be very upset.
Why? You're going to get your cut.
This
just in. There will be your cutie face review on your merch for only $50.99, coming this fall.
So in one in the video, Cutie's recent videos, somebody had mentioned that if you are a Marxist and you have a merch store, you're basically illegitimate. And I took a screenshot of that because I'm definitely 100% going to put that on a t-shirt. Because I got to get that back too, bro. Oh boy. All right. Well, any last thoughts, gentlemen, before I go back and edit the fuck out of this episode?
Yeah, for sure. Definitely need to edit the fuck out of this.
Yeah.
Wait, but Larry, you're gonna get paid more because Cruz is dead.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. The cut is now 25, 25, 25, 25.
Intriguing, guess.
I have to look out for my interests, which means two of you have to go.
Well, it's not gonna be me, so
Persian time.
No,
now it's 33 and 33 and 33.
I knew that was coming.
I am in charge now. I am the captain now.
You bastard.
All right, let's end this before I suffer more.
Bye.
All right.
Love you guys.